First of all, telling what does this report do, what is it about. So this is basically the reference to the subject matter. As you can see it over here, that is how it is supposed to be written. Then once you have mentioned the basic purpose and the subject matter of this report, you can clearly see that the method of analysis has been defined. Methods of analysis include trend, horizontal and vertical analysis, as well as ratios and so on and so forth. You can look into the detail yourself as well. But just look at the manner in which details are being organized, starting from your purpose, then moving towards the method which has been used. Now if you just think of the previous example, so what was coming right after the methodology? And if someone asks you what was the method, so you will certainly, if you are telling the method which was basically used, what will be the next question? What were your findings? What did you find as a result of the application of that method? So certainly this would be the answer over here as well. Next section is of findings. Results of the data analyzed show that all ratios are below industry averages. And another point to consider here is that, I can come over here as well, just look at this line as well. All calculations can be found in the appendices. So if there is anything which may cause a bit of confusion or bewilderment, can simply be provided within the appendices. So a reference of it has indicated that if you are interested to look into the details of some additional information, just look into the appendices, rather than expecting to have detail within the executive summary, because that is not the objective of writing the executive summary. No details, just stay to the point. Everything has to be mentioned in a concise manner. No detail over here. I'll tell you where the detail is expected and should be required. So basically the point where we were was findings. And that is how right after the method of analysis you provide your results. And there you have it. Once you have those findings, then you can move towards the conclusion based on those results. And there we have it. The report finds the prospects of company's current position are not positive. So the manner of starting your section, each section of that executive summary, may have a bit of difference in the choice of words, but the overall manner of writing that section should be same. It should reflect the motive of writing that section or a subsection of that executive summary, so that once the reader is reading that part, he would know that basically the writer is taking me towards the conclusion, taking me towards the findings of that whole report. Each and every part should be self-explanatory once it is read and perused. So we can say right after the findings are coming the conclusion, and right from the conclusion we can move towards the set of recommendations and suggestions. Recommendations discussed include, now look at the manner in which these are being written. Bullet is a very essential tool, and we can use it within a report writing, because these bullets are very much attention catching. When these are written, the reader can simply straight away look into these points, that these are the most important parts, and I do not have to search for the information, the relevant information within, let's suppose a paragraph is written. So they have to read right from the start, right from the scratch till the very end. But on the contrary, if you are providing them with the bullets, they will know where to start, where to end, where is the next point, and where is it ending. So the use of bullets is also going to make your points within the report very much effective. And if you recall our lecture number 1, the sample that I provided you at the end had bullets as well. So you need to remember the effective use of bullets as well. You can do it. You just need to make sure where do you want to use it and how do you want to address your points once you are clear. So recommendation is an ideal place, as you have seen it. That is how you provide your suggestions to your target audience. One last section that I talked about, which was not there within the previous example, is the limitations of this report. When we carry out a study, we have a domain, we have a set of restrictions, rules and regulation, and based on those limitations we carry out that study. After finding those results and recommendation, there is a possibility that there is basically a possibility of those results that they may lead to some other studies as well. We cannot consider those results and findings as absolute. They may be subject to some additional information as well. So this is basically the thing to remember over here, that every study has some restrictions, some limitations as well. And these limitations cannot be considered as some like a weak point of a report. Basically, these limitations pave the way for your future researchers as well to fill up that gap. So this is the plus point. You have a big circle, you have a big body of knowledge, and 4 to 5 individuals, let's suppose, have worked on that field. They have provided some results, but they have also highlighted some limitations within the same body of knowledge. Now let's say some other 5 to 6 people are also interested to work on the same field, same domain. So what they're going to do is, they will simply use that previous study to set a foundation, and they're going to start the work from where it ended in case of the previous researchers. So the limitations shall become the primary goal, aim and objective, and that will lead to a new set of findings, and those findings would give another new conclusion, and based on that conclusion a new set of recommendation. So this is the plus point if there is or if there are some limitations within the report. And it's a good thing to mention those things so that the future researchers and the people who have to conduct study within that area would know that now we can link our study with a previous body of knowledge which is already working within that domain and field, because that is how you need to work in that area where you belong. If you look at it, the report also investigates the fact that the analysis conducted has limitations. Some of the limitations include this, and that, so on and so forth. So they have highlighted certain points, and that is how you can do it as well if you consider that some limitations are also there within your report. After studying this example, we are now in a position to consider some points before writing and preparing your executive summary. The first point is providing the answer to a question that I asked you earlier, that how are we in a position to mention our findings and conclusions within the very start of the report writing process, because after all you have to write your executive summary at the very first. Well, that is basically the misconception. You're not, and you are never in a position to write the executive summary at the very start. That's not possible. You require your results, you require your findings, and based on those findings you need to have some conclusion, and on the basis of that conclusion you can give some recommendations. So basically the answer to this question is that you have to write it at the end when you have all the relevant information which needs to be there within the executive summary. So what would we say? You have to write it in last, at the very end of this process. The next thing to consider is that you have to grab the reader's attention. There should be a very specific choice of words which are attention catching for the target audience. Secondly, the audience would be interested to read your content if it has all the relevant information which your reader anticipates and expects to have within your content. So if you are clear about what you have done and you also have a good knowledge of grammar, only then you'd be in a good position to put everything in a nutshell, keeping in view the element of conciseness, keeping it comprehensive as well, that the information provided is complete and it's also very brief, telling you all the elements in short. Only then it would be a successful executive summary, catching the reader's attention. Another point that I would like to remind you here is that just think of that type of the audience for which you are writing that report, which is of course the third point when we talk about your points to consider while preparing a report. Just keep in mind nature of the target audience. We have the managerial readers, we have the technical readers, and then we have the general readers. So if you know for whom you are writing that report, you will know how to structure it. In the case of the general one, you will try to use and keep your language of the executive summary simple and trying to use those words which are comprehensible. In case of managerial one, you will try to just focus on keeping things very short and brief because they just want to know what's there in it. That is how you basically structure your executive summary, keeping in view nature of the target audience. Another important thing is basically your theme. Theme means the central idea. So you're basically given a task by your employer or professor in case of an academic environment, and that is based on a topic or a specific theme, and you structure your whole report based on that central theme. So I can say that that specific topic has the importance of a backbone that we have within our body. If we don't have this vertebral column, we won't be in a position to stand upright. The same significance lies of that theme which is provided to you within your report writing process. And you should never get distracted and not even let the audience get distracted within this process of report writing. Things should be clear, they should be interrelated, and one thing that I want you to know is that try to keep your text coherent by the use of cohesive devices. And by coherence, I refer to the logical sequence and the logical connection which lies between sentences, between paragraphs, between section and within the whole report. So it should be well coherent while you are preparing your report. Then it should clearly define your purpose, and you should be well aware of your purpose as well. On one hand, you are making it comprehensible for the readers, And secondly, you are explaining this thing to yourself as well. That's why I am writing this report. If you write it, let's say, for yourself, you will know how to proceed onwards with it. So the same things should be considered when you write the executive summary. It should clearly mention the scope of the overall work which has been carried out throughout a survey or a study. Last tip to simply focus and cover up all those 5 bullets is that you should be mentally prepared for carrying out that task. And mental preparation comes from preparing a business plan at the very outset. You need to do some mind mapping before you initiate a task. Topic assigned to you, start thinking about it. The last point to consider, and which would help you to simply meet the requirement of all the 5 bullets that I have discussed earlier, is mind mapping. Preparing a business plan at the very outset of initiating your work on the report writing and study. If you are already clear what to do and how to organize each and every task, how to divide that task, how to divide it, and the number of days in which you have to carry out your study, you'd be able to complete your task within the given time frame. And once it's mentally prepared, not only it would help you to perform all those tasks and the survey physically, but when the time comes of drafting it or jotting it down in the form of a report, even then you won't have any issue, because you already have a given timeline. You have established each and every day and the tasks which are required to be performed within those given days. So you are well scheduled for carrying out that task, and that same deadline and dates would be there within your mind, and it would also help you to prepare your executive summary. You would know how each and every task was met, how was it completed, when was it completed. So you'd be in a good